Okay, so far we did all the tedious stuff. We did our edge stitching, our stay stitching, our sleeves, ease upper edge of sleeves. We've done that. Now it's time to sew. So we're on number 4 right now. And it says pin side back 2 in parentheses. That means piece number 2 right here. Sections to back. Clipping back where necessary. Baste, and your base is that long stitch. Stitch in double stitch seams. Press seams towards side, back. I am going to skip this double stitch section because I have a serger. So there's no need for me to do 2 stitches when I'm just going to clean everything up with the serger. If you do not have a serger, do the double stitch, and that means you're going to do 2 rows of stitching. Your sewing machine should have that. If not, read your sewing machine manual and follow your double stitch seams for your sewing machine manual. If you're still confused, Google it, get on YouTube and find double stitch seams. But again, I'm going to do 1 stitch line, and I'm going to serge my whole garment because I like that clean finish. Alright, let's get started with that. Also, invest in some tailor's chalk. You want to write, you're going to always need this to write on your fabric. And these, I believe, are called dress pins. They're very tiny. If your needle is really sharp enough, you can sew right over this. So I use this especially around curves because I'm not that good with the curves. And I just keep my needle in and keep on sewing. So let's get started with the garment construction. We have our piece number 1, your edge stitch. I didn't do both sides of my edge stitch because, again, I'm doing jelly tape, but I did a demonstration to show you. You should have both sides of your edge stitch, your stay stitch, and number 2. This is my number 2 piece. Alright, so this is your underarm area. This should be facing this way. That should be out, okay? So let's line this up. You always want to put your right sides of fabric together, and you want to follow your notches. So you have 1 notch here, and you have 1 notch somewhere, right there. So you want to put that together. The way that I'm going to do this is how I like to lay my fabric out, because we know this is your underarm. This is called a princess seam. But this is your underarm, so your underarms are always going to go that way, that U. If you do it the opposite way, you know you're messing up. So I'm going to take this piece right here, have it nice and flat, and I'm going to fold this over on this. Okay? You're going to start, you see this little corner edge right here? You're going to start placing your fabric right under the underarm because your arm has to go through this. So we're going to start here and work our way down. So I'm going to start pinning right at the top, right there, right under that underarm piece. This is your underarm. We're pin right here. And I'm just going to pin all the way down. You can do the other side. I'm just going to do one side. Make sure it lines up. And I'm just going to keep pinning and going. You want to make sure you line up your notches. Your curve should fit because this is a stretch fabric. Here go my notches right here. They're lining up. And you're just going to pin all the way down. So after you get finished pinning, then after I get finished pinning, I'll be back and then we can start sewing. But I know sometimes the curves get a little tricky, but again, you have stretch to your fabric. Stretch it and make it fit. Alright, so what's the hard part is around the bust area. Alright, I'm going to get finished pinning and then we're going to sew. So you're going to do it on both sides. You're going to put 2 on both sides. When you're done, you should have 2 on both sides, and then we're going to sew 5/8 of an inch straight on down. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, so now we have 2 attached to number 1. Now we're going to go to number 3 and 4. All we're doing right now is pinning. I haven't started sewing anything. So 3 and 4 is the same concept. Get your piece number 3, get your piece number 4. Again, double stitch. I'm not doing it because I have a serger. If you don't have a serger, follow your machine instructions in reference to a double stitch. All that means is you're doing, instead of 1 line, you're doing 2 rows of stitches. Alright, here's my piece number 3. If you ever get confused on which way the arm goes, again, lay it on the right side. Lay this piece on the right side, and you know this is where your underarm goes. So I'm just going to pin. Right sides are always together. I just have to flip this towards me, you guys. And I'm going to start right below that underarm. So remember that underarm part? This is the underarm. You can tell because it has that U curve right here. And I'm just going to start with this little peak. Start from here, and I'm going to start pinning around the curve. And you know you're doing it right because your notches are going to match up. I use the dress pins. And I'm just going to pin it the same way we pinned the first one. Okay? So once we're finished pinning everything, then we're time to go to our sewing machine. Here go my notches. They're matching up. Again, this fabric has stretch to it. So my 2 notches. Okay? And I'm just going to keep pinning all along the sides. And when I'm done, when we're done, we will go to the sewing machine. Okay. Okay, so we have the garment all pinned together. And it doesn't matter which piece you start. We have 3, and I believe we had 1. So this is number 3 with number 4. So 3 and 4 together. It's already pinned with the stay stitch. Make sure you have 5/8 of an inch. If you have a guide like I do, use your guide. It'll help you stay on course. I'm taking this pin out right here. You never sew over these pins, but you can sew over this pin. Sometimes this may hit my guide and I might have to take it out, but we'll see. So I'm going to take this pin out. Make sure you backward stitch. I'm going to take this one out. And put your sewing machine in a down position. That keeps the needle down if you have a sewing machine like I do. If you don't, that's fine. So I'm going to go a little bit and I'm going to back stitch. And when my needle stops, it stops on a down position. Now the key to this is to make sure everything is smooth. Use your fingers. If you have to go up under your fabric, constantly do that, and you don't have to worry about using your seam ripper. Alright, let's go. Now I'm stopping right here on my seam gauge. So I'm going to just take that pin out. Again, I'm always making sure my fabric is smooth. We don't want any puckering. Oh, another thing I meant to tell you guys. Sometimes I clip into my fabric a little bit like this. Around the curves, around the bust area. Again, I'm serging mine, so it gives it a little bit more ease. And that's an example how you would do that. Pulled that out a little too much. Once it's getting around the breast area, your fabric stretches. Pull it if you have to. Use your fingers to smooth it out if you have to. I'm going to take that out, loosen that up. I'm going to just keep going. I'm going to make sure everything is nice and smooth. I don't want any puckering. Now for this, it seems like it's a little bit of a tension. I'm just going to clip into this. just to make sure all of that kind of like lays down. All right. And I'm just going to like hold it if you have to. You don't want to clip into your stay stitch, but if you got to clip it, clip it. Now you see how it's more free and smooth now after I clipped it. Now right here is bunching up on me a little bit. That's fine. Pull your fabric. Make sure things are smooth. And I'm going to just keep pulling, making sure everything is smooth. Take this out. Cancel over these. And those are glass head pins. They're really nice. All this is smooth. This is a straight edge now, so I don't have to really worry too much like I did with the curve. The curves always make me very nervous. And they're like, again, they're called the princess seams. So I love the seam gauge or whatever it's called, because it makes sure that I stay within 5/8 of an inch. When you're sewing, you never look at the needle, but with the seam gauge, if I do look at the needle, it's not going to throw me off because I got the gauge there. Back stitch. And you are all done. So sew all your pieces together. Let's see what it looks like. Pause it for a second. Okay, so this is how the garment looks on the right side. Of course, you want to take it to your, this is how it looks on the inside. Of course, you want to take it to your iron and you want to press it open. And you want to iron it. I'm not going to do that now because, again, I'm going to serge this. After I do all my serging, then I'll take the iron and press it. If your fabric is like a delicate fabric and you're not too sure about if you can take heat on it, put something on top of it. You know my theory, use an old sheet, put it on top of it. You can use a brown paper bag, put it on top of it, and then you can iron with your seams open. And these are open seams. With the serge, all this bulk was going to go. Okay. Alright, so all your pieces should be sewn together. And let's get the sleeves in. We'll finish up our neckline and you're done. If you want to, if you are a novice and you struggle with hems and things of that nature, I can show you a trick before you actually put your garment together. You can actually do your hem now. And it's just a narrow hem. You can iron it and then do it all the way across like this. And then you can stitch it together opposed to having both pieces and trying to do that complete circle. Or you can cheat like I'm going to cheat and buy some hemming tape. Do your shoulders. Put some hemming tape in it. Bring it down. Stitch it. You're done. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use hemming tape. Stitch it down. And then all we have to do next is hem our bottom. This bottom is way too long for me to use all my hemming tape. So I'm just going to press it with the iron. Give me my guideline. Go up one more time. Or I may serge it. I'm not sure. Go up one more time like that. Have a nice clean finish. And that's it. So the next step is putting the sleeves in. If you guys want to see me do the jelly tape part, which I'm sure somebody does, when I get to the shoulders, I'll come back and do the jelly tape part with the shoulders so you guys can see how that's done. Alright, we're almost to the finish line.